All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 4 of the Grass is Greener podcast, where I'll be talking about both the book and the movie Where the Crawdads Sing. The book, Where the Crawdads Sing, which I actually got a copy of it right here, is authored by Delia Owens. The movie is written by Lucy Alabar, directed by Olivia Newman. It stars Daisy Edgar Jones as Kaya, Taylor John Smith as Tate, Harris Dickinson as Chase Andrews, and David Strathern as Tom Milton, the defense attorney. So just the general story of Where the Crawdads Sing is about a girl, Kaya Clark, who grows up in the swamplands of North Carolina in the early 50s. Starts off when she's about 10 years old. She has a very abusive family, or abusive father, rather. And he is very mentally and emotionally, verbally, physically abusive to everyone in the family, causing all of the siblings and the mother to all run off, leaving Kaya and her father by themselves. And she's left to basically survive on her own when her father eventually leaves and just doesn't come back, leaving her to fend for herself as a 10-year-old in the North Carolina swamplands. She gets involved in a relationship with Tate, who's a genuinely good guy and has her best interest in mind at all times. He eventually goes off to college, and Chase Andrews, who she meets later on, is kind of a sleazebag, and they also get in a relationship, which doesn't work out because he is sleeping around on his fiance. When Chase Andrews is eventually found dead at the bottom of a fire tower, Kaya becomes a suspect in his murder. So I was sort of on the fence about reading this book because it had this, mainly because of the reviews. I was looking into them and it seemed like it wasn't really my genre. It gets advertised as like a young adult romance novel, and I was like, that's not really my thing. I'm more into the true crime, historical biographies, memoirs, that sort of thing. So this book got over 225,000 reviews on Amazon as of this recording, and it came out in 2018, so pretty recently. And just for reference, Into the Wild came out in 1996, a very popular book, has over 10,000 reviews. Killers of the Flower Moon, another very good book, has 21,000 reviews, came out in 2017. And To Kill a Mockingbird, which came out in 1960, has 65,000 reviews. So this, to accumulate 275,000 reviews in 4 or 5 years, it's pretty phenomenal. So there's some things I do like about this movie. I would say overall it's pretty good. The story is just very, very good, and while it's sort of dark and kind of depressing, it ends up being very uplifting. You have a story of Kaya Clark who she is dealing with a lot of issues which are not self-inflicted at all. She just gets dealt a very, very bad hand. And it's not only about her trying to improve herself on her education and her career, but just to survive because she's left alone in the swamplands as a 10-year-old. So it's just very, very difficult situation. She's navigating relationships, trying to find love, acceptance. Very, very good story. You get a lot of different aspects in this book, genres rather. So you have just the coming of age, fight for survival. You have the nature aspect of it. You get the murder mystery courtroom drama, which I absolutely love, and those are all done very, very well in the book. So for this book to be able to accomplish all of those aspects and do it very, very well was very impressive. Absolutely loved it. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to the movie, there were some things that I just did not like, and it just didn't work for me. So, one of the things that really gets me on any movie, and it's kind of eye-rolly and cheesy and cringy, is when you get this exposition-y dialogue. There's a lot of that in this book, where I think that rather than just explicitly stating their intentions, when the characters are explicitly stating their intentions and their feelings, I think that, a movie that does this sort of thing very well, and it doesn't just spoon feed you all the information, is The Sound of Metal, where it gives you information, it sort of lets you connect the dots. Where this, it kind of just spoon feeds it all to you, almost in a sort of an insulting way, and assumes the audience is kind of stupid. And I don't really care for that too much. They sort of do the same sort of thing when they're explaining Tate's intentions, when they're trying to get the point across that Tate always does have Kaya's best interests in mind. But they sort of just give him lines from the book, and he just sort of recites them in the movie, and it comes across as just kind of cheesy, and I feel like there could have been a little better storytelling, a little better writing there. Um, Another thing that just doesn't work for me is the courtroom drama aspect in the movie. When you compare it to other movies, which are very, very good courtroom dramas, Anatomy of a Murder, which is a classic with Jimmy Stewart, Witness for the Prosecution, which is my probably my favorite courtroom drama of all time. And then you got The Rainmaker, also very good. 12 Angry Men, if you want to include that one. I know that's kind of a high bar to set, but they've set this high bar for themselves because they're making this movie off a book, which is this, international phenomenon. So that's the bar that they've set for themselves, and I'm going to hold them to that. It's just seemed like they were just too dependent on the popularity and notoriety of the book, and they just sort of gave this halfway effort, which that's something Top Gun didn't do at all. They could have done that, and they could have, put together some, halfway decent movie, thrown it out in theaters because of the popularity of the first one and the nostalgia factor, and it's still just going to make a whole bunch of money. But they didn't do that. They went the extra mile. They went all out, all in, and they made an absolutely fantastic movie. This could have been done. This could have been done like that. Lots of opportunities for some deeper, heavier emotional moments, and they just didn't really deliver, in my opinion. And now I hate to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyways. I really hate to rag on a 2-hour movie that doesn't include everything that's in a 400-page book, but these are sort of, I say, kind of egregious instances of just omitting, key aspects of the book. So the first example I would say is the most egregious is that when Jody comes back after not seeing Kaya for several years, they have a conversation about Tate, and when Tate promises to come back after he's done with college on July 4th, he doesn't show up and leaves Kaya hanging, which this causes a lot of resentment on Kaya's part towards Tate. She says that she would never get involved with him again, that he can't be trusted, which that's sort of how she views most relationships with people, just because of how she grew up and the history of people in her life. Everybody's always walked out on her and left her, always disappointed her. Tate or Jody, her brother, convinces Kaya that she needs to cut him some slack and offer some forgiveness because he was just a boy when he did that, and he needs to be given a second chance, and he actually does love her, and she loves him back. That was just totally omitted from the movie, and that was kind of an egregious omission in my opinion. And they never really highlighted the good side of Pa at all, which there isn't really that big of a good side to highlight. But Jody and Kaya do talk about how there was a time when Pa treated her good and went out and took her fishing and wasn't a violent drunk. And then Jody would acknowledge that, yeah, like he saw that too. That was never in there. The ending in general was just really rushed, as if they were trying to cut time. There's some very, very significant moments. It's like they were up against a deadline, or they were just being lazy, which is sort of my theory. Um, so in the very end, when Jumpin has his funeral, in the book, Kaya does not go to the funeral. She goes out to the lake and says goodbye to Jumpin the only way she knows how, which is by herself. So my theory on why this is lazy is because it would have taken a little, and it's hard to do, but that's if you're gonna make a book on this popularity and claim that you feel the same emotions in the book and when you watch the movie, then I think you need to do it anyways and put in the extra work and effort. There should have been a way to communicate that to the audience in the movie that she's not going to the funeral because she's going to go out to the swamp and say goodbye to Jumpin by herself the only way she knows how. But instead in the movie they show her filing out um, of the funeral, um, since she went to it in the movie. Um, okay, what is the next one of this? And they should have given Jumpin a better send off because that was her only friend, really. That was literally the only person that did not walk out on her. Tate walked out on her, her whole family walked out on her. Jumpin was the only person that was her true friend for the entire time, and they sort of just that was just sort of part of a montage at the end of the movie of all these significant things that happened. So really rushed. There was no funeral for Kaya at the end. The funeral at the end of the book is a very significant moment. Tate actually puts Marsh Girl on her tombstone because he actually doesn't think that that's a negative title and sees the significance of it. And everybody in the community comes out for Kaya's funeral. And None of that. It's just she dies in the boat, and it's part of the montage that I'm talking about. So, and also she was acting as a poet the whole time named Amanda. That's never mentioned either in the movie. Not one mention of it. And it's sort of this recurring theme throughout the book. So it's just another omission. Now, I really I hate to rag on this book, or I hate to rag on this movie like this. I know that I listed like two positive things, but these are kind of egregious omissions. And I really, really loved this book, and I just hate to rag on it this much. And I've it probably sounds like I'm about to give this movie an F, or maybe even the dreaded F minus, but I'm not gonna do that. Um, I'm gonna if this wasn't such a popular book, it probably would get maybe a B, but because there's such good source material and things that they just left out and didn't do as well as they could have, I'm gonna give it about a C minus, and that is all I got. I was actually thinking C, and I kind of talked myself down to C minus throughout this because it's just sort of frustrating. So, anyways, that is all I got on this book. Highly recommend the book. The audio version, like I said, very, very good. It's disappointing. It's sad, really. Not. It's hard for me to justify how, I can say it's not bad after you just ragged on it like this, but it is not bad. I would still recommend going to see it. The book is better, so go check it out. I'll be back hopefully this weekend to see and review Jordan Peele's new film, Nope. Really excited about it. Actually saw it last night, so I got some thoughts on it. So, as always, if you like this video, go ahead and smash the like button. If you did not like this video, smash the dislike button twice. Follow me on Letterboxd. I'll put a link in the description if you want to get the book or anything else on Amazon for that matter. Go ahead and click on it and subscribe, and hope you liked it. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and we'll see you next time.